Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This safety training is going to be on fatigue driving, probably something that we've all dealt with in commercial vehicles as well as our personal vehicles, but definitely a topic worth talking about and making sure we understand the symptoms and the result of what can happen if you are driving in that manner. So fatigue driving is probably undoubtedly the leading cause of trucking accidents. And I'm sure we can all imagine, 80,000 pounds going down the interstate with somebody sleeping behind it is a recipe for disaster and can cause a lot of damage. So how does what results in fatigue driving? Most obvious thing, inadequate sleeping. Um, the length of your work day, physical and mental exertion can harm the performance and kind of make the body more tired, and also bad sleep as well. Not necessarily the length of sleep, but not getting the proper type of rest that you need. As many as 6,000 deaths were caused by either a sleeping driver or drowsy driving every year, and a large part of those are unfortunately commercial vehicles, and as you could imagine, the fatalities increase dramatically when it does involve a commercial vehicle. So fatigue driving, it exerts a negative effect on many functions while you're driving, to include, but not limited to, your vision, your reaction time, your coordination, and also your judgment. You can, while you're, driving, obviously, most vehicles still do require hands-on to stay and maintain a lane. So drifting, in some cases, side swiping the car or vehicle next to you, and in the worst cases, you can see in the picture, going all the way across the median and causing an head-on collision. So talking about sleep deprivation, symptoms of it. So they're directly comparable, the symptoms to that of being under the influence of alcohol. And the way they kind of relate it is 24 hours of sleep deprivation is equivalent to a 0.1% blood alcohol concentration. And we all know that, in most jurisdictions, the legal blood alcohol limit is 0.08. So, um, you know, you can fast approach, although your blood alcohol content concentration isn't that high, the same symptoms can be observed. So, causes of getting to this kind of fatigue, as we talked about, lack of quality sleep, probably the biggest factor. And then the other one is driving time. So one of the things that sometimes people think is, if I sleep during the day, I can drive through the night, and that happens not only in commercial vehicles but as well in our personal vehicles. Especially driving to a vacation. You don't want to miss a full day of at your destination. So you'll see people try to rest during the day and leave at midnight to drive through the night. Or I know it's common with folks with smaller kids to try to accommodate the children being asleep on their natural clock. But your natural clock is affected by it too. And if it's not a normal time that you're up, even with a lot of rest, during the day, your body will still, start to shut down during those hours that you're not normally awake. Um, Sleep apnea, that's a big cause for not getting restful sleep. Maybe you are sleeping for many hours during the day, but having some sort of sleep apnea that's restricting breathing and causing poor sleep can be a big factor in waking up not feeling fully rested. This is always a tough one with commercial drivers because there is undoubtedly a schedule. You're not on as much of a lenient schedule as someone going on vacation where they can call a family member and say, "Hey, we're gonna be there a little bit late." So there is probably an added pressure for commercial drivers to maintain their timeline, but we can't do that at the you know, at the expense of driving tired and driving drowsy. I always say, you know, we can the cost of delivering a load late is nowhere the cost of going off the road or colliding with another vehicle due to sleeping, being sleepy while you're driving. So it's never the answer anyone wants to hear, but if you do get to that point, it's something that needs to be relayed to the company, and we'll communicate that up the chain and externally as well. If that comes up and you need to get some proper rest. And things that you might see yourself doing. They say micro sleeps kind of touch and goes is what we use in the military, where you kind of driving, just kind of nodding off, constant yawning. If you feel yourself drifting out the lane, even if you have a lane departure capability in your truck, that's a that you shouldn't be relying on that. So if you feel that that departure system pulling you back in the lane consistently, that's a problem. Heavy eyes, trouble keeping your head up, and then delayed reactions and just kind of daydreaming throughout the drive to where you have difficulty remembering the last few miles that you just did. How to beat fatigue? There's only really one way to beat fatigue, and that is you have to get sleep. And one of the toughest times I've seen is coming off of weekends, and I call it the clock that can't be controlled. Because when you get in and you log in, that first day, you have a fresh clock. You might have had a 34-hour reset per your ELD, but your weekend events can tie into this. There's no way for anyone else but you to know what time you went to bed the night previous. Although you weren't driving a commercial vehicle, were you actually sleeping? So that's something you know drivers need to prepare for in their personal life to make sure that they're fit for duty um, when their shift comes up. Taking regular breaks, that's something that, you know, I know, there's always a required break, but I always encourage drivers, that 30-minute break that you're required to take, you need to take a break. And when I say a break, not to include refilling your truck, topping it off, doing a pre-trip. It's really is important and can go a long way. Actually taking time to actually rest and not just have the truck not moving, but actually sit down and actually rest. Alcohol, we'll have a session on drugs and alcohol, and those obviously can impair you. But what I would want to impress upon everyone is it's the after effects of it. Um, you know, if you are out drinking the night before, and although you don't feel intoxicated anymore, you can still have a lot of those symptoms that can cause kind of fatigue and just a lag in your normal senses. So more about how do we avoid it. Before you start driving, and this goes from, like we said, coming off the home time, and as well as time in between shifts when you're out on the road. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, and that can come up if you pull into a town where you have friends and family, um you know being out late with them, or even if you're not drinking, but just being out and just being up and getting off your normal rhythm can affect you the next day. So it's important to be cognizant of that. And then if you are anticipating a load that is going to require you to drive outside of your normal woke hours, that's something that you need to be conscious of um, as well, and how to best plan for that to get the rest to be able to complete the trip. While you're driving, as I said, take advantage of the actual break. If you need to take a quick nap, using that 30 minutes to do that. As I said, it has to be to really for that break to be effective. You actually have to rest. So think about how you can get your fuel, get your coffee, whatever you need to do, and then take that 30 minutes to rest. Um, Having a cool interior. I know uh, having a warm, kind of humid environment kind of starts to push you towards sleep. So, keeping your truck cool, to your comfort, but that is something that has been proven to help um, stay awake. Going over kind of the effects and talking about how we beat it. So just to reiterate, so research shows that being awake for a 17-hour period of time is equivalent to a zero point zero 0.05 blood alcohol concentration. In 24 hours pushes it towards more of a zero point 0.1, which is, as it says, over double the legal limit. So and I especially reiterate, these are times of coming off of long weekends. Make sure that leading into your first shift driving, that um, you don't get into this realm. This stuff can happen when you're out of town and you're trying to drive back to make it to work. I've seen that before. I'm leaving Sunday night to get back to work on Monday. So where on the books you have a 34-hour reset, but in actuality you've been driving since midnight the night before, and then you get into your truck at 8 o'clock in the morning with a quote unquote fresh clock. So that's kind of the big thing that I want to reiterate with that. So that concludes the training on fatigue driving. Again, we never want to be late. We never want to miss our deliveries, our pickups, but it can't be at the expense of driving fatigued. It's up to all of us, as a company, to prepare realistic driving schedules for all of our drivers, and then we depend on you as a driver to maintain proper sleep in your personal life leading up to your next shift. So it's something that we all have to work on together. Communication is key. And never be too proud. If it gets to a point where you can't safely operate your vehicle, please let the company know, and we'll work around that with whatever facility that we are picking up or dropping off from to get that communicated. But driving fatigue is not an option. So plan for it. But again, if you get into a situation where you can't go, let your chain of command know, and we'll get it taken care of. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Have a good rest of the day. Drive safe.